Thank you very much.
Hello, welcome back to the COP studio here in Belém, Brazil. And we have some wonderful guests lined up here for this panel discussion. And two of the biggest topics in sustainability, of course, is the global food system and artificial intelligence. And this is what we're going to dig a bit deeper in on this panel. And both of these angles, the food system and also AI, for many people are more associated with problems. But if there is a problem, there is always a solution, right? So we're going to talk about how we can leverage the power of technology, digitalization and AI to make our food systems work better and stay within the planetary boundaries. And I'm sorry about the wind and the sound here. These are the conditions here in Belém. We have an AC the size of a jet engine behind me. And there's also rain pouring down the roof. So I really hope I can hear our honored guests here in this session. Food production sits right at the intersection of course, so many global challenges. Climate, nature, livelihood, and also, of course, technology. And as AI continues to transform our societies everywhere, we must also ask ourselves, how can it accelerate the transition to more sustainable and also equitable food systems? So to help us answer these questions, we have some guests that I'm delighted now to introduce. And calling in from our Stockholm studio, let's see if we can get a visual of the guests at the Stockholm studio. That will be Pia Brantgärde Linder. Yes, great. I see two guests. She's president Munters Foodtech. Wonderful to have you in our studio in Stockholm, Pia.
Thank you.
And next to Pia, we have Owen Gaffney. And Owen Gaffney is co-founder of the Exponential Roadmap Initiative. That is one of our great partners here at COP30. And we assume, calling in from Brazil, but he's not in Berlin, not at the COP. Maybe you have been already or coming back, but you are elsewhere in Brazil. Ricardo Santin, correct? You're
yes,
president, Brazilian Association of Animal Protein. Sorry, say that again.
Thank you. Ricardo Santin. I am in Belém, but I not be able to join you in the studio.
You are in Berlin, but just not here at the convention center right now.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So I hope you can hear me loud and clear in this windy and noisy condition. So to start us off, Pia and Owen, perhaps you can set the scene for us a bit. Why do we need to address sustainability in the global food system? And what does this have to do with the COP? Owen, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure, and great to see you. The food system is, about a third of all greenhouse gas emissions. So it's a huge component of the challenge that we need to reduce emissions really rapidly. But it's not just the scale of it. When we look at the climate models and how fast we need to reduce emissions to stay, as close to 1.5 as possible, the models show that actually the food system needs to change the fastest. That, we need to be net zero with the food system in the 2030s, as early as possible within the 2030s. So it's absolutely, this is sort of ground zero for climate, is the transformation of the food system. But there's so much waste in the system, so there's so much potential for transformation. So that's the good news there is, a lot of the solutions to reduce emissions are there. But the bad news is that it's just it's slow to change. There's a lot of inertia in the system. So we need to find ways of speeding up the transformation in the food system. It's lagging behind, the energy system, which is rolling out, solar and wind very rapidly. We're not seeing those sorts of transformations yet in the food system. So we need to see that as soon as possible.
João, so Pia, what is your take on the need for the transformation of the food system?
I mean, we have been in business for more than 30 years in this industry, and we provide data-driven digital solution using the latest technology, really. But we work with food producers and farmers, but we cannot do this alone. We need to do it in partnership, and we need to take everyone in. Everything from the food producers to the research institutes, to academia, to the farmers, and also to policymakers. And I think the arena of COP30 is a fantastic place to actually get all of these stakeholders together and really talk about how can we make that food system much more sustainable and efficient for the future. So that's really what I expect from these days. And I'm optimistic because I've seen that this has been raised in the COP30 as well, which is really great.
Thank you, Pia. That's quite impressive that you've been working with this in your company for 30 years. Impressive. So turning now to Richard, you are profoundly involved in the topic of sustainability in food systems here in Brazil. So could you please tell us a bit about what you're doing in this field?
Well, we are from ABPA. We encompassing the proteins of poultry, pork, and eggs. And we also have a lot of companies from these chains that we work for to be more sustainable. When you took to the quick connection we have with the COP30 is that we work here to produce with more renewable sources, with more strengthening the traceability, more transparency, to assure the food security. We would like to nourish the people for the world, but without jeopardize the environmental. And this is what you do in Brazil, and this is why we are here at COP30, showing what we are doing and saying that we are willing to be better than we are now, going in 2030 to have less carbon footprint than we have now.
So, Richard, could you tell us a bit more in detail what that work entails in terms of, since you're from the animal protein side, I'm sure many of your viewers are curious about what you're suggesting here in this transformation.
Well, we are, as I told you, we are handled with the protein of poultry, pork, and egg. We have a lot of AI instruments in our production system every day, and we need to implement this. Now is the time to put the things more and more. We need to enhance and strengthen the work of the people and the farmers for trying to produce with a better way, in a more sustainable way, as we already make it here in Brazil.
And for those that might not be very updated on the different climate footprints of animal protein, pork and poultry is, of course, much better choice from the carbon perspective than beef. Correct, Ricardo?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter regarding the protein or not. Beef has his own characteristics, but I can talk about you from poultry, pork, and egg. And this kind of system of production, we have innovation. We already has artificial intelligence. Sorry for artificial intelligence working on every day, trying to strengthen our work. We want to make and optimize the feed conversion, the animal health, the welfare, and reduce the emissions per kilo of protein, and of course, improving the transparency to show the people that we are doing our best with technology, improve the climate action in favor of the sustainability.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. Turning now back to Pia, from your perspective, you've worked with technology and the food industry and innovation for many, many years. Is this a question of a need for innovation, or are we done with that? They just need to implement everything? What do you say, Pia?
I would say that is both. It goes hand in hand. I think we have a lot of technology already today available to really drive efficiency. Ricardo mentioned optimization, the importance of really getting the data inside the supply chain, and that is exactly what we are doing. We are providing a lot of data that we capture from the supply chain, from many parts of the supply chain, and then we drive waste reduction. But of course, innovation is also super important to continue to drive. And new technology are coming out. AI is also a new technology that are used a lot in the supply chain. And actually, the food and agriculture industry is the least digitalized industry among many industries in the world. So I think the opportunity of using technology is fantastic. And I think there is so many more opportunities to make this industry much more responsible. But if we work together, because we need to work together, as I said before, that is really key for us. Also, the other company was here previously on the panel, Santin, who talks about AI. It is all about working together in a supply chain. We are using the whole way up to the supermarket, where they take care of the retail side.
Thank you, Pia. Turning back to Ricardo, what would you say are the biggest challenges for the people on the ground? I mean, the farmers and the production people from the animal industry here in the front lines. What challenges do they have that you can help them with technology and AI?
Well, as Pia said, from the side of the producers, we've seen every day that the farmers are ready to do this. We work with this. The people is already making this, and they are ready for the transition. They are the first one to feel in their own properties and their own lives the climate impacts. They know sustainability is not longer an optional situation. You need to work this, but the farmers need more things. For instance, clear incentives, practical tools, and also fair markets for this, because they are implementing renewable energy, they are recovering land, investing in animal welfare, adopting low carbon production system. But what they ask for this is, in the process, is that he not be blamed, but be supported to enhance the situation. And the AI and all the technologies can help us to produce more with less. And this is what we are doing here in Brazil.
What is primarily needed here from the COP, for instance, the negotiations here? There is much talk about food systems and also, of course, other types of regulations. What would you like to see in place that would make it easier to implement your solutions and to help the producers?
Well, first of all, we need to spread this kind of good solutions that any country has for everyone. We need to have a fair market, everyone work together. We need to spread this for the development countries as well. And we need finance. We have the finance to pay for these new technologies. This is what I think we need to do now. And also here in COP30, we need to work together to spread this, but for implement. We need to go to the field and implement. For instance, in Brazil, we have a very strict code, forest code. We have a lot of legislation that are in field, and we are doing this. But sometimes some regulations in the markets don't allow us to access these markets, and they protect, because my main concern is we have more than 600 million persons in hunger at this very moment, and we need to work sustainable way, but to produce food to give to the people and assure the food security of the people.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Ricardo. So turning now to Owen, there is much talk, of course, of AI being a risk for sustainability, consuming massive amounts of energy and also, in some regions, massive amounts of water, of course, in general of water, but more and more depending on where the servers are placed. So what can you say in terms of using AI in this segment here for the food industry? What risks do we have to be aware of, and what is your take on the implementation of these technologies?
Missed the start of that section. Were you asking me this?
Sorry. So it's a little bit of a glitch here sometimes in the connection here. So I'll just rephrase it. So AI is often regarded as talked about as a risk sustainability in the sustainability perspective, primarily because of the massive energy use and also, of course, the use of water. So what is your take on AI in this field of food systems? What is the risk? What are the risks and also the opportunities from your side as a scientist?
Well, yeah, 100%. I mean, the huge risks. I mean, people talk about the potential of AI in all sustainability sectors, but it's at the moment we're not seeing how we're going to steer at a massive scale the AI sector to be developing tools and products to reduce emissions as opposed to increasing emissions. And as you say, the sector itself is increasing its own emissions in a very worrying way. So we somehow need to address that, and that's going to be a tough order. But I would love to see the tech sector themselves, who are investing trillions of dollars in the build out of this, to be investing it in things like the food sector and bespoke solutions for the food sector, because there is so much potential there. And the potential is, from new chemicals, new types of ammonia to produce fertilizers. That's 1% of emissions globally. There's huge amounts of waste there. We need to address that. We just had Klaus talking about food waste. I think that, which is like, if you count it as a country, food waste is the third or fourth largest country on the planet. I mean, so there's huge potential here for reducing emissions. We just need to find ways of directing the sector at the AI sector at this, the technology at it. It's not entirely clear how to do that. We're seeing some great examples from Munters and others, but we need to really find ways of scaling this up 10 or 100 times over the next few years, so these solutions are, become the new norm.
Well, so let's open up the discussion, and any of you could answer the questions that we have left in this session. So, is there an inherent sort of contradiction here between animal welfare and the implementation here of technologies? Because very often when we think about animal production, we think of huge industrialized feedlots or just industries in general. So what can you say about this? Is there a conflict, and how do we look at animal welfare in this transition? Who would like to answer?
I could start. I could start, yes. People often imagine that efficiency means industrial scale without no compromise. But animal agriculture is different. The good animal welfare and no emissions goes hand by hand, because the farmer is feeling this every day. If you have a good welfare for the animals with artificial intelligence, taking care of the animal, the environmental, the facilities, taking about the gases that are in the aviary, for instance, well care the animals, free stress for growth, they will convert more, they will be more efficient, they will require less researches, and of course they will produce lower emissions, less waste, and they will have better productivity. And then, so animal welfare is a golden rule for the producer of meat, because if you have the animal in a good way, you will have a good food for the people. This is my opinion.
Thank you, Ricardo.
I continue.
Sophia, yes, please do.
I can continue on that. I think what Ricardo said is I agreeing with him a lot. I think animal welfare, you can use technology today to actually work with both things. You can become much more resource efficient, but also be very, very caring for the animal welfare. And I think in this industry, a lot of companies and farmers are already doing that today, and we can do even more for the future. So for example, I can give some concrete examples on actually what you can do with technology. So for example, with our control systems, which we have advanced control system, one of our customers said, I mean, you keep our chickens alive. And you actually, with the right climate, if you optimize that in the right way, and with the right water consumption, with the right feed consumption, you actually can keep the animals alive. They can die after 15 minutes with the right climate. So it's highly important for farmers to actually get climate optimization inside the farm. But there is much more to be done with AI and be done with technology. I think Claes also mentioned in the other panel the importance of capturing data, which we do from all the part of the supply chain, using sensors in every part where you actually need the data to be captured. And then with that sensor and with AI, you can have powerful analytics, and then you can predict to actually know when you need to pick up the animals from the farm, or how to optimize the transportation, or how to handle the logistics in a better way. Everything to become even more efficient, but also taking care of the climate and the animal welfare at the same time.
Thank you, Pia. So, Owen, would you like to add anything on this topic?
Well, just to agree, I mean, having more data is going to help with animal welfare. I mean, ultimately, we also need to move to lower meat consumption generally to reduce emissions, and that's the direction we need to be going. So AI can help as well there with development of new types of meat proteins and these kinds of products for the market.
Thank you for adding that perspective, Owen. Pia, would you like to say something?
No, I just wanted to add a bit to Owen there. I think it is, with technology, it's important, exactly as we are talking about here, to use it in a meaningful way. I mean, to really use it in the food system is where we can make a big difference together.
So, an overarching finishing question here, I have two, would actually be, what would a successful transformation of the food system really look like? What is success defined from this aspect for you, Ricardo?
For me, it is a system of production that is productive, of course, have the efficiency, inclusive, and climate positive. This is what it means for the producers. We need support. We need that people see that we are doing our best. Every day, the farmers are producing food that their children eat as well. We need to be under science basis, because this is a challenge that we have. We need to look to the science, use the technology, use the artificial intelligence and all the tools you have to produce more with less research. And so this system that we intend to put more in force, to implement more and more and more. We are doing here in Brazil, the solar panels and biodigesters, don't lose in waste in the slaughterhouse. This means taking care of the water, taking care of the animals, and also the people that work in the chain. This is what this success looks like to me.
Thank you, Ricardo. To Pia. So Pia, what does success in this field look like to you?
Yeah, I think like we all know that we cannot continue to produce food in the same way we have done in the last decades in the world. Using technology, the latest type of technology, to actually reimagine the future food system. I think that is possible, but we need to do it together. Doing more with less. That's what I see as our success, if we can make it happen.
And technology can help us with that, doing more for less.
For sure. Technology is already there, but I also think that we need to innovate even more, using the latest technology with AI, but also working together with that.
Owen, what does success in the food system and the food industry look like to you?
Well, to be honest, I mean, we need to start bending that curve in the next few years. That would be success if we can, see a noticeable bending of the curve within the next 5 years, which will take a huge effort right now. So, indeed, this is, we need some serious outcomes from COP to do that. But on the AI side, we've been talking for years and years about we need disruption, and suddenly here is a disruptive technology right in front of us. And so to me, it's like, well, how do we actually lean into this? How do we direct that disruption to make sure that it disrupts an industry that is, famously, has a lot of inertia in it. It's slow to move. We need to use that disruption, the new technologies, to really break down some barriers and accelerate the change.
Thank you very much, Owen. We don't really have time for incremental steps. in this field either, do we? So, Ricardo, what would be the preferred outcome of the COP here, if you look at the food system and your perspective?
I think that we need the outcome is that we will support the transition on the ground, on the farmers. The farmers are investing, are innovating, adapting. They look for to have support. They look for to have access to technology, to access to internet. They need also stability, clear rules and incentives for to produce in a better way with a low carbon footprint. Because I repeat, there is a lot of people in hunger in the world, and there is no way to have a sustainability with people in hunger. We need to put these things together, produce in a better way, saving researches and producing more with less, as Pia said. This is, I would like to leave COP30 with this message, but not only the message, that we have improvement really not only in Brazil, but all the countries. We already are in this way, and we want that everyone can do as well.
And Ricardo, being from Belém and the COP actively going on here in your city, do you feel that the food aspects are being brought to the table, really, literally here inside the COP and during the COP?
Yeah, yes, I think so, because we are here, all the Brazilian producer sectors are here discussing open and trying to be very transparent. We are doing what we know that is good for the people and for the world. Brazil has a big market share of food produced in the world, and we need to cooperate with all the countries. Sometimes some places stop import products and make some rules that we are achieving here, but make it difficult to give the food in a accessible way for the poor people in the world. And so I think that we are here and we are very transparent. We are talking and we are showing what we are doing. And of course, we intend to do more and more to help to save the planet.
Thank you, Ricardo. So, Pia, what message would you like to relay to the leaders here at the COP? We know we have many viewers on this channel, on this platform. So please go ahead. What would you like to relay to the decision makers? Maybe not in all of the negotiation rooms, but there are many decision makers here at the COP on different levels. What would you like to say to them?
I think it's time for action. It is really important that we take this part super serious and that we actually do our part, what we can contribute with from different parts of the stakeholders here. I worked more than 20 years in the energy sector. And in the energy sector, there were a lot of incentives to really get more renewable energy out there. And we all also had this kind of discussions 10 years ago in that energy sector, in that industry. Now I'm in the food sector instead. And I think it's time for all of us, including the policymakers, to actually talk more about how can we incentivize and give incentives to the small producers, to the farmers, to actually invest in digitalization and be able to modernize their operation. That is what I would like to get out of this.
Thank you, Pia. Loud and clear. And Owen.
Well, so, you're in Brazil and, the Brazilian government has been very, very clear that, land use, the Amazon rainforest, protection of land and addressing food security and food systems is a real priority. So there is some potential here, to get momentum on it and to raise it up the agenda in the way it needs to be. But like Pia, I think, the industry, there's a huge economic opportunity for the whole industry to reform and to digitalize, to advance, to bring in new technologies. I would love to see 10 times more investment in disruptive technologies being spurred by COP30. I think that would be it's an opportunity. It's not it's a commercial opportunity. I think there's that level of potential there. It's not just about finding handouts. It's about investment in the future.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Owen, and thank you, Pia, and thank you, Ricardo, and thank you everybody that was watching this session. Of course, you can rewatch it and share it with your colleagues and friends. And now we're going to move on because there are more important conversations. We have many going on here at Belém, and stay with us.